So I was watching this movie last night called Girl in a Box on Tubi. You gotta go watch it. My God. Hold on now. Hold on. Let me talk to my empaths real quick. If you are someone who is highly sensitive, you're probably gonna cry a lot. So let's talk about the movie. There's a woman, she decides she's gonna go to California and she's gonna hitchhike there. Well, she's picked up by this couple who just so happened to be into BDSM. The man is tall, dark, and handsome. He looks like the jock from high school. The girl just looks like a timid nerd. Pay attention to the dynamic. So, if you have the jock from high school with the timid nerd, she's just happy to have him, willing to do whatever to keep him because she believes that he is the prize. The agreement is that you have to do whatever. And that for this couple was take the pain. And that was like BDSM. So he would tie her up, whip her, all those things, right? All those things. Well, she was too fragile for it. She couldn't handle it. For him, that was enough to bring someone else into their marriage. They would end up marrying. So that was enough to bring someone else into their marriage. And he was able to say it was her fault. Why? Because she made the agreement. They had an arrangement. The only way they would be together would be is if she would allow him to do these things to her. So since she's not allowing him to do these things to her anymore, he has to find another candidate. Now that means someone else is coming into their marriage. Well, they pick this woman up off the side of the road. Like I said, she was on her way to California. And prior to this, there had been another woman that they had picked up on side of the road who ended up having an unfortunate end. I'll just put it that way. But this girl, oh my God, she was in the faith. She was a believer. And so you can see that she understood the principle of obedience. She understood the principle of subjection and how it could save her life. She constantly sought God's face in the midst of the struggle, in the midst of her torment, because that's literally what they would do. He would take her to the house, put her in the basement in a box, torture her, all the things, just all the things. The wife, being timid, would allow him to do it because she wanted to keep this man. He was the prize. Whatever he's doing, though she is so convicted by it because she also is a believer, red flag on the play, if you know what I mean, she would try to advocate for the girl. She would say, we should let her go. It's been enough time. But he would constantly throw it in her face. If you could take the pain, then she wouldn't be here. You have to go watch this movie. I just had so much empathy for the woman especially, but I want to drive it home with this. Addiction gets you judgment, but cancer gets you sympathy. I heard this phrase for the first time on a movie called Thank You for Sharing. The guy's name was Adam, but he was a ex-addict. And the woman he was dealing with had an eating disorder that was accompanied by, or maybe even came from, her having cancer. She was so judgmental towards him because he had this addiction. And yet she wanted sympathy for her infection. And I'll put it that way. But they are both illnesses. They are both sick. I noticed even while I was watching the movie, obviously I empathized with the woman who had become an egg slave. Oh my Jesus, I was just so upset at this man and his manipulation, and the woman and her manipulation. It just drove me. I was like, oh my God, I cried. I'm a baby sometimes. But they were all sick. The believer, the woman, the egg slave, the one who was kidnapped, she had started being brainwashed. So, of course, she started also dealing with the same ideologies and thinking and believing in lies. But the couple themselves, they were sick. They were sick. Now looking back, like, they were sick. But again, addiction gets you judgment, and sickness, like cancer, things like that, gets you sympathy. But they're both sicknesses. They're both illnesses. But I will say this. Women, oh my God. My God, my God, my God. We are so over the bad boy. If you've not watched my last video about bad boys, what you gonna do? Listen, we are so over the jocks, what they look like, and him being tall, dark, and handsome. And if he is, then great. But baby, you gotta let me see your portfolio. I gotta see more than what meets the eye. Because listen, when they feel like they are the prize or they have something up on you, over on you, he kept saying to the woman, essentially, it's your fault that I have to have this woman. Like, I'm gonna give you another example. Imagine you get with a man and he's into, swinging, things like that, right? And you decide one day you don't want to do that. So now he says, okay, no problem. I got to find somebody who does. So now you have a whole situation, third party type situation. And anytime you bring it up to him, like, I'm really not okay with this. He's like, well, hey, if you would have allowed me to continue to just swing, I wouldn't have went out and found another wife. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of stuff, bro. That's the type of stuff. It's your fault, is essentially what he's saying, that we have another person in our bedroom. Because it could have just been every now and again, and you could have been participating with me in this, but you chose not to. So now I have to go get a whole nother girl, and you better be okay with it because you made that agreement. Choose your men wisely. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. If this message intrigues you just a little, even just a little, I encourage you, go grab my Ground Up Self-Love Workbook. Link is in my bio. You will learn a lot about yourself, why you're attracted to these type of men, because it's revealing who you are and what in you is broken and needs healing. There's a lot of inner child trauma that needs to be addressed. We are walking into a season of godly marriages, godly life in general, but with a godly life comes godly marriages, godly children, right? Godly finances, godly wealth. You want to be in that pipeline. And in order for you to be in it, in order for you to be in the will of God, you gotta strip off the sin. Learn to peek behind the curtains as to why it even exists, so you can start to attract what God has for you. And it's not easy, I won't lie, but it has to be done. It has to get done. Okay? Love you.